Hi, everyone, and welcome to this live. If you're on, please say hi. And I am so excited to bring on my guest, Rachel True. Hi.
Ah,
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey guys who are on here. So wait, before you even say anything, I just want to say to the people who are watching, like one thing people might not know about me is I'm very suspicious of people who say I have this ability or I can do this or I can do that, because as you know, there's a lot of people out there who are cold readers, who can read a situation and take it to their advantage, right? But the reason I wanted to do this with you today is he did a reading for me last year, and it was pretty accurate, actually. It
I just love
was.
you.
And also the way he approached me and all of that, this cat is going to kill me. The way he approached me and all of that was very lovely and respectful. And so I am an absolute believer that people have the ability to pick up energy. Raymond may call it something else. I call it a certain thing, but I believe that everyone has the ability to psychically, let's call it that, whatever you want to call it, receive information. I get it a lot, and I didn't know what it was when I was first getting that, and it was confusing. And now, as a grown-up, it's a little easier for me to kind of work with it. So now let me let you talk. But I just wanted to get that out.
No. I love it. And I love you for who you are. I really appreciate and respect you utmost for what you do and what you bring to the spiritual community. Because apart from being the actress, what I like about you is that you keep it very real. You're very realistic when it comes to dealing with people. And I've seen like a lot of your lives. I've been watching. Yes, I'm a fan. But I watch your lives, and you're welcome. And I see how you connect to people, and I think like you coach people, if I'm not mistaken, because I've listened to, I don't know if you want to call it coaching, but I've listened to you giving advice to people who want to get in the industry or have like a business plan idea. I've seen some of your lives where you actually go into that and give them like pointers, which
No,
a
I
lot
do.
of,
Because
yeah.
when I was young, I mean, a young actor starting out, it was like, what the fuck? And I didn't have an uncle in the business, like a lot of
Right.
people I know, to hand take them in and introduce them to an agent and all of that stuff. So, yeah, I kind of like doing that. And also I realized I'm at that age where you
Absolutely.
have to fucking listen to me because I'm old.
Exactly. No, you're not old, Rachel, at all. I mean, you look like you're still like 30 years old.
No, it's only because I have a ring light on. It occurred to me, like, if 20-year-olds could have a ring light, so could I.
I need
But
to
I
put my
do,
ring light. I
listen,
have bad lighting right now, but oh well.
I do take care of myself in an energetic way that I'm going to segue into part of working with energy. To be totally
Right.
honest, I mean, listen, and people have seen me gain and lose weight many times over my career. So obviously, I'm an emotional leader at times, and
That's me.
and dot dot dot. But I got a handle of it when I got older because I had an illness that I had to deal with, and it just kind of put front and center what I needed to do to get my body healthy, which it is now, very much so. And part of the byproduct, by the way, people of eating healthy and doing all this, is that you are more in touch with your psychic energy. When your body is cleaner. That's my truth. I think that's why churches and religious ceremonies would have people fast.
Yes,
Even
that makes a
church,
lot of
like,
sense.
forget airy fairy, like psychic. Let's just talk church. I mean, they would have people do fast for a reason. Your system is cleaner and able to get in touch. So for me personally, I find when I'm eating healthier, it's just on a superficial level, my hair looks better, my skin looks better, I feel energetically better. And when I feel energetically better, I am more connected to spirit or whatever you want to call it. And by the way, just because I can give people advice about their stuff doesn't mean I know my shit. That's the universal truth about a lot of healers. And we know this, that like, I can look at a situation and say, oh, X, Y, and Z about that, because it's not me, right? So it does get a little trickier. And advice I want to give to people who are learning tarot is like, think of it as a language. First of all, you are learning a language. You must learn the cards. It's kind of why I like people, to be honest, to start with Rider-Waite, to be 100% honest. Doesn't mean you have to stay with it. But you start with it so you can understand the basic concepts of the card, and then you can go get you a Lisa Frank deck with like little, you know, mermaids dancing on a puppy. That's fine once you but if you get that Lisa Frank deck first and you see mermaids dancing on a puppy and you don't know what that means, you don't have a frame of reference, it's really hard to learn the art of tarot, I think, that way. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's why I wrote the book that I have coming out with a major publisher. It's with a company called Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. They're known for their beautiful books. And it'll be out on October 15th. So I'm really excited about that. Oh, Nicole Baron is on here. So
Hi, Nicole.
I have it set up, by the way. So there's a page or more interpretation, because it's not really a definition, it's an interpretation of the cards, a long definition. So it's not just a little paragraph like you get with a lot of books, right? It's a big book, and then the deck, it's a deck set with it, and then also 22 memoir essays to go with the major arcana cards. So an essay for each.
People start pre-ordering that?
Oh, it's on Amazon right now. Like if you Google my name, it's fucking there. But my publisher was like, no, listen, my publisher actually said, no, don't talk about it yet, because July is when we do our big pre-release. But if you want to go pre-order it now, please be my guest. Because
I will.
I didn't know this about publishing, but all the pre-orders before it comes out count as that first week of sales.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, he knows what I'm talking about. So meaning if you guys definitely, like in July, when I beg you to pre-order it, because I'm nervous. I wrote it all by myself, you guys. I didn't have a ghostwriter. I did it all by myself. I've been an avid. When I was a kid, I read a book a day, and they didn't believe me, so they tested me, and they were like, okay, she reads a book a day. So this has been a lifelong dream to write a book.
Yeah, I love it, and I love the fact that you're doing that for people of all, you know, from all aspects of spirituality, or even if they're just beginners, learners, they'll be able to use your book and learn about, you know, tarot and all of that, you know. And
yeah, and as I always say, I think tarot in tandem with therapy. And in tandem, even like, let's say someone wanted to get a psychic reading from you every week, in tandem with therapy, to me, is huge, because you can get this information, but what do you do with it, right?
Exactly.
If you didn't grow up with the skill set, your parents didn't teach you the skill set just because they didn't know. So now you got all this new information. Therapy is great to work with tarot. And the other advice I give to people, like I have a deck right here. I have 4 decks around me actually right now.
All right. Can we see it? Can we see
it? Okay, so this one, wait, this is a really lovely deck. I think it's called the Moonchild deck. I should check for sure. It's by Danielle Noel on here. It's really gentle deck. So this is not my deck. This is these are decks I like. Because here's the other thing, people. There's room for lots of decks, right? Just because I have one coming out doesn't mean I don't support everybody else with a deck, because whatever we vibrate towards, right? So I really like this Danielle Noel deck. I believe it is called the Moonchild. Like here's her 7 of Cups, right? Which is maybe true for my life right now. Whoops. It's like very gentle. The color palette. Everything about it gets its message. Like, let me find a harsher card. Okay, here's her 9 of Swords, which, as I know, is the anxiety card, right? Or that's how I think about it. It's when our mind is spinning so much and we can't calm it down. So here's hers. It definitely gets the message across, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's very beautiful, gentle color palette she has here. Like here's her 6 of Wands, which is a bit of a victory card. So much happier colors in this one. So I love this deck, right? And I hadn't been using it that much just because it's so gentle. I was like, give it to me brutal. I need a brutal deck sometimes. I do. I pick decks based on my mood, you know, like if I want it straightforward, no chaser. Maybe sometimes I will pull out the Thoth deck. How do you pronounce? I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Thoth or Thoth. It's pretty vicious though, like the 7 of Pentacles in that deck, which is a patience card, meaning you're working on something, but it's not at fruition yet, and you're at that like I'm frustrated because it's not here yet kind of feeling, right? The Thoth deck calls it failure. Because depending on how we look at things, right? Yeah. It is a failure if it's not to fruition yet. But I love, there's a very gentle deck I have called the Mother Peace deck that I used to use back in the 90s, don't really use so much, but I love their spreads. But their Seven of Pentacles is a pregnant woman. Now
Oh,
that
really?
makes much more sense to me, because you would not pull out that gestating baby before it's ready, right? So the same thing with whatever you're nurturing in the Seven of Pentacles energy, it's moving along. It's just not where you want it, right? But as a mother, if you were pregnant, you might be at 6 months like, I don't want this thing out, right? But you're not going to pull it out. So anyway, that is why, you know, I like different decks for different things. Here's another one.
I'm much like you. I have a lot of different decks as well. And the one thing that I've noticed, Rachel, is that exactly like what you said, every deck is different. And the illustrator, the artist behind every deck is going to interpret tarot a little different than the other. And so I like the decks that do give you the visualization. So that way you can interpret it easy, because even it doesn't matter. Like, I've been doing tarot for years, but I'm not like super, like, I don't feel like I'm super great unless I use my gift with it. I need to like look at the card and see the imagery of the card to kind of help me.
I believe that's, you know, first of all, I'm sure you or other people, or sometimes I can do it without a deck at all, right? Just read people, but read their energy. But yeah, I think tarot for me is a combination of what is this picture on this card? Just on a visceral level, people watching, what does this card mean to you? So there's that. Before you even know an interpretation, what's your visceral gut reaction? Now, if I'm reading for myself, I'm going to do the interpretation and my visceral gut reaction, because this may spark different things at different times to me. I may look at this card one time and be like, yeah, I'm so accomplished and getting my work done. And another time I may look at the exact same card and go, oh God, I'm such a lazy fuck. Right? So it's really about what your intuition says about that card in that particular moment, using their interpretation. But also when I read for other people, which I don't do that often anymore, it's absolutely a combination of what does this card mean coupled with the person's energy. So I look at the cards and I get the story from the cards, but then I take in the person's energy and I hear their story. Because let's segue to off tarot for a second, intuition. And I've told this story before, but for me, you know, when I always thought I was intuitive and kind of could pick up people's stuff and say the one thing that seemed to piss them off, because I didn't know I was picking up something going on with them. But people listen to your own inner voice, because I kind of hear mine as a rustling, a little whisper in the back. You may get pictures. You may hear a different voice, but it's not like a schizophrenic voice. I don't mean that at all.
No.
What I mean is, so my example would be when I was at Whole Foods and so rushing to buy some lunch, and I was looking at the prepared foods, you know, the already pre-wrapped stuff. This is before quarantine, years and years ago. Anyway, and this little voice in the back of my head literally said, like, it felt like that, like a little rustling noise, and that was like, don't take the first samosa. And I was like, fuck that noise, and grabbed the first samosa. I got home and there was a bug in it. So that was like, hey, man.
Yep, if you would have listened to your gut instinct, you would have avoided that bug.
Right, but it's hard to tell what is gut, what is real, and what is memorex, which is an old expression. Because, for example, like, I joined intuitively, like, you know, I usually post a ton on Instagrams, on my stories. I'm no fun on my page, but on my stories, I love your stories. So basically in January, I was like, I don't know. I feel like I need to hold my energy close. I need a break from social media, but also, like, I've been wearing masks on planes, and no, I would never have called a pandemic at all. But what I did know was I didn't want my energy out and about anymore. And I wasn't going to events and things and da-da-da-da-da. So in a way, I've literally been in quarantine since like January. It's killing me.
I know. I was like, where did my friend Rachel go? You had just like disappeared from social media. Well, not disappeared, but entirely. But I mean, you did post like during that time frame, maybe one photo or two. And I was like, when are you coming back? We need your stories, because your stories give me life. Like, you know, the thing about you is that I feel like a lot of your intuition, your spiritual abilities are intertwined with your creativity. So like, I see like,
I
you
think
are
it's
like
all
a free
part
spirit.
of a
Like
whole.
when like everything that you do, you express yourself. It's like you're like a walking art in a way, but it also incorporates your spirituality and your intuition and how you express yourself. It's like you give off that vibe, that aura.
Some days not. But yeah, I mean, I feel like, and didn't really understand this when I was younger, I think, but like I get it now. I'm an artist. Life is art. Art is life to me. Everything I do is art, is living. All my living is art. That's what I know. And my whole mission, I would say, for the rest of my life is just to create as much art as I possibly can.
Yeah, that's like me. I'm always in that creative mode as a YouTuber. And what can I do to change it up? Because I get in those ruts, like you said, where, you know, you just kind of feel like creatively, I'm not like where I want to be. And I feel icky sometimes. And so I'll like not post a lot of videos face to face in front of the camera. And I do a lot of voice work with my videos. And so a lot of people are like, well, why aren't you showing your face on camera? Because we have those days. We don't always feel like you want to be in front of the camera.
No, it's true. And actually, when I took my social media break, I was working on writing some scripts. I finished my book. Now I'm writing scripts. And also I was learning lighting. Like people always hit me up, like, how do you make those videos? Or how do you do this? And the truth is I Google it and I study it. Or I call people I know who are in the business who can teach me. But I do a lot of learning online as well. Like everybody else, I'm on the tube of you. And there's some really good filmmakers on there who have free videos for, you know, because I'm an actor, I've been in front of the camera my whole life, but I don't really know how to control lighting. And if I want to shoot a movie myself, not just little Instagram stories, this lighting I have now isn't going to work. This is an interview light. It is not a mood film cinematic light. So I'm teaching myself those things because as an actor, whenever like, you know, lighting takes forever on a set, I'd always be like, I mean, why does lighting take forever? I'll be in my trailer watching a movie. Now I totally understand why it takes forever because I'm learning the language of lighting. So I am always studying something, I would say. Like I'm also
That's what I noticed about you. Like I noticed you're always like studying or reading something and you post things and people are like, I think some people, they miss the concept of what you're doing. It's like, it's not for like entertainment. It's your actual life. When you kind of slow it down and you look at what Rachel's posting, she's posting a lot of stuff that she's doing and she's giving us clues, but you kind of have to put them together.
Yeah, I do and I do play around with speeding up time. And so it's probably hard to see exactly what's going on, but like yesterday's story was about me making masks for my friends. I
saw that. I thought that was so lovely. Are you doing that just like for your immediate friends, or are you doing it just like for certain people you know?
I'm pretty much just doing it for immediate friends right now that I know because the virus is here in California. Obviously, I don't think it's reached its peak yet. So you know, my feeling is wear a mask, and because in case, what if I'm a carrier? You know what?
I heard today on the news from the government, they were holding like a press conference and they just said that it doesn't matter if you don't have a mask, make your own, because I think they said that it doesn't matter, like some materials that you make your mask, it can protect you.
No, I'll tell you what you need is if you're going to use just a t-shirt wrapped around, you want to do several layers. What you need is a tightly woven cloth, meaning denim is tightly woven, a cloth that is thick and tightly woven. Because when you think about the bacteria, a t-shirt weave is very loose, right? So germs could get through that. So when I make my mask, which of course I have none of around, where did I put every mask I ever made? I don't know. I keep moving them around.
It's
but
okay.
When I make it, it's 2 layers of a tightly woven cloth, and then there's another 2 layers of cotton inside that you can insert a filter into. Like cut up a vacuum bag, which is a filtered material, and stick it in there. Because this is what is so insane to me. When I put up a post with the mask on a couple of weeks ago, I had people coming at me going, they said you don't need to wear a mask. And I was like, fuck that.
Like, hello. I mean, the doctors are using masks and the nurses are using masks. Like, why would they want to use masks, but we are not supposed to use masks? Like, when I heard that, I was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, they were only saying that because there was a shortage of masks. So they wouldn't have been saying that. So I'm not sick, but I could be a carrier. Someone healthy like me could totally have had it this fall. I felt real shitty in the fall. For all I know, maybe I had something and now I'm fine. You know, we don't know. We don't have tests, do we? So I'm wearing the mask to protect people when I go out and I look for food and fruit and stuff. I don't want to get my germs on it. So yeah, I think it's important to, at least for now, wear a mask.
How are you coping with everything? Like, what are you doing in your daily life of quarantine, like being at home? Like, I know that you go out still and you kind of like, you know, get your...
No, I'm not going out. I'm definitely listening to the orders. Like I said, honestly started self-quarantining in January, to be 100% honest.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I kind of did. That's not true. I had, well, January, but then in February I had dinner. I was at a lovely dinner party at Kathy Griffin's house, and there was a Pulitzer Prize nominated journalist there who had said, oh no, it's very serious. And this was way before, you know, this was about a month before we were talking about it. And I was like, no, sir, though, really? And he was like, oh, no, yes. And I was like, no, sir, though, really? And he was like, yes, ma'am, yes. So that was the gist of the conversation. So I just thought, I will kind of take all this seriously, and it's okay because I have so many things. So my life is not that much particularly different. Like, I wrote the book. I wrote the book between 10 and 2 a.m. Well, 10 and 3 a.m. And, you know, I talked to a lot of other people who were writers, and they were like, no, you got to get up at 8 a.m. and write. Fuck that. I wrote it from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Who can write at 8 a.m. in the morning? I mean, I guess some people could. I can't either. I'm like, like you, I'm more of like the afternoon, evening hours, and I typically work more in the evenings, and I feel more alive.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think we have to do things whenever we can. So, by the way, the first week or so of the official quarantine, I thought I was going to get a lot accomplished, but I didn't, honestly. That's the truth. I watched a lot of television. And
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I was like wondering, like, does Rachel watch TV like everybody else?
I smoked a lot of weed and watched a lot of television. I don't drink at all, but I kind of like that for my anxiety. And I put a post with weed the other day, but I made sure to put a thing saying, listen, it's not for everyone. It exacerbates certain mental conditions for people. Like, this is no joke. And I mean this. I love weed for me. But if one is schizophrenic, weed is not your friend. If you have different mental conditions, it doesn't work for you. I don't take Xanax or I don't take any medicine. So for me, that works for me, not for everyone. I always like to say that, though, because it's the truth, you know?
Yeah, and you're very honest and transparent. I think people appreciate that about you, that the fact that you're very transparent. Like you said, there's some people that are getting into like ayahuasca and those like shrooms and things like that. It's not for everybody.
I think my goal would be to reach that height without drugs. To be totally honest, to be able to reach an ayahuasca state by getting in a meditative state, because it's all within here already. I do believe those things are just unlocking what is in here. So back to like picking up energy and things like that. I think a lot of us are getting little things, and like someone said, we want to make sure it's not your crazy voice, right? Because we all have a high and a low vibration voice within us, right? So I want to make sure it's not that ego voice, and it's not the other ego voice dragging us down. Like that thing that's like, for example, too, I joined Costco in January and started ordering, you know, stopped going to stores and ordering food. And I kept saying to myself, like, I bought sponges and a gallon of Dawn liquid and all this stuff. And I kept seeing the toilet paper deal. And I was like, so first of all, the back of my voice said, buy that. And then my conscious voice stepped in with, I don't want to spend another $35, $40 on goddamn toilet paper. You know, like I was arguing with my own head about it. But the voice said, why are you taking advantage of that deal? And I was like, I don't know. And then now I'm like, bitch, you should listen. It told you to buy the toilet paper. So,
I know. It's like, and I do believe like a lot of people are intuitive. Like, you know, when Kobe passed away, God bless his soul and his family, I do a lot of celebrity readings, and people are like, why don't you ask permission for celebrities to do readings on them on my YouTube channel? And I'm like, well, the fact of the matter is that I'm never disrespectful in my readings when I do public readings, and I don't give everything that I get, because ethically and morally, I don't think it's right to give everything that I get. But the reason that I do a lot of celebrity readings on YouTube is to show people that, you know, celebrities are basically everyday people. They're just like you and me. We're no different, you know, and we all are the same.
Yeah, our egos are just bigger. That's all.
And I think it helps people realize, you know, what, you know, how the spiritual gifts work. And that's where I try to come from a place to show people how I have my abilities, how do they work? And then when people listen, they're like, well, you know, but I'm losing tangent. I'm just like rambling, but I'm going to get to the point. When I was talking about Kobe, in the message that I received from that reading was like, do not travel by plane at all. Do not travel at all. And I kept telling people, and people are like, I was like, I don't understand this, but for me, if you want to travel, you go travel on a plane, but I'm not traveling all through 2020.
Well,
And
what was crazy, I'm going to jump in and say, like, when 9/11 happened, you know, and this was way back when, right? I remember saying my friends were going to Tahiti and Bora Bora that summer in August, and I was like, and in my mind kept saying, it's not a good time to fly. I also, this is picked up off the news. It's not purely psychic, because when they bombed our ship, the Cursed, they bombed a ship in the Mideast 6 months before, and I paid attention to that. That really struck a chord in me, and I went, oh, this augurs something bigger. So that was kind of my intuition, but listening to the news, right? Then a month before, I was like, it's not a good time to fly. And then we had those flip phones back then. I literally wrote on my phone in the beginning of September, let's roll. That's not a phrase that I use in my daily life. I never said, let's roll, you guys. But it was the phrase that the plane that went down, the guys said. So I believe I was picking up
you were
stuff,
picking up.
like we all do, just like the scientists know that the chatter, was rising at that time. And so for me, exploring all this, which I've done my whole life, is good, because I think it gives me a nice balance between an actor's life where it is all about you.
I honestly agree with you. I think that everybody's a certain level of intuitive. Everybody has, like, if you want to call, I don't like the word psychic because everybody just uses it so blatantly, but everybody has a certain level.
Psychic and empath are very overused. I'm tired of little girls coming up to me going, I'm an empath. And I'm like,
I know.
Good.
And I know,
Good.
and I'm like, everybody is intuitive, people. Everybody's intuitive. It's just a matter of, like, sometimes you could be intuitive, like you said, picking up on things and not even know about it until after you go back and retrace your steps and you think about, your past and what in that moment you were experiencing. Then you put the puzzle pieces together. You're like, wow, I was really onto something. I wanted to ask you, though,
wait, before you ask that, I want to throw in, like, just because you have a psychic connection to a person, place, or thing too, doesn't necessarily mean exactly what you want it to mean either. Like, you can I've had strong psychic connections to people and thought, oh, that means they're supposed to be my lover. That's that guy. It doesn't mean that. It just means that's where the stars were at that time.
Can you preach?
It's just a quantum. Oh,
yeah.
It does. But I mean that, like, I used to think, oh, it means this. It means I'm supposed to be with that person, or I'm supposed to, like, a lot of people look at celebrities, movie stars, and go, that's my twin flame, which I don't believe in. I think that's a trap for limerent people who are stuck in desire rather than, no, that's my truth. I want to believe in it. I really do. I do, you guys. I'm such a romantic. I want to believe in it. But no, I don't, actually. I think we have many, many, many soul connections. I don't know that there's someone else roaming around who's the other half of my soul. I think there are people I have very strong soul connections to, though, that are part of my soul tribe that I'm supposed to learn lessons from. And doesn't mean that they're in my life forever.
No, you bring up a valid point, because when I do readings for people, that's like, I get, well, I'm a fan of Johnny Depp, and I feel such a connection to Johnny Depp, and they're like, well, I feel like he must be my twin flame. He must be my soulmate. Right. When am I going to meet him and stuff? And I'm like, girl, it's not like that. That doesn't necessarily mean what it means, and I'm not trying to, like,
no, because you can have a strong psychic connection to your biggest enemy, frankly, because that enemy may be in your life because you have karmic ties and whatever. Doesn't mean necessarily what you think it is. It just means if you can pick up, and again, if you were anything like me when I was a kid, you have to learn to maybe not say everything that comes out of your mouth to people, which is so hard for me because I'm a Scorpio. But I have kind of learned, like, even little things, like sitting with someone, looking at that. And I said to this guy, your shoes, I like your shoes. And he was like, yeah. And I said, yeah, I bet you wish it had more arch support, though, huh? And he's like, how do you know I say that every time I put these shoes on? I'm like, I don't know. And I wish I could use my powers for good or for something more important than this,
Yeah, but it's like those little things that come out and they're so accurate and you don't even realize until after the fact.
Yeah, you don't really know whether it's valid or not. So I don't know. I don't think there's anything. The other thing is, I don't think there's anything that makes you exceptionally special about being an empath. I don't, actually. I think most people are empaths if they're in touch with it. And the other theory I have is that a certain amount of empaths out there are narcissists too. Do you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of empaths who are like, narcissists are so attracted to me and my empathy. You are a narcissist too, perhaps.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they use a title and they use it sometimes for, to, like, to garner, clout, I guess is the word
Yeah.
that a lot of people are using now. But, I wanted to ask you, was like, did you ever have at any point, like any paranormal activity, like seeing ghosts or shadow people or things like
Oh,
that?
you know what I've had since I was a little kid is sleep paralysis. You
Oh my
know, that
God.
thing, sleep, ever since I was a very little kid. I mean, I kind of learned to control it a little more now and what to do with it. But I would see shadow people. I don't know. I haven't dug into the internet theories of I haven't, what all that means. I definitely have felt some energies,
Yeah.
things like that. I haven't seen that many things. A couple things where I was like, what is that? And then it's gone. You know what I mean? Or
Hmm.
seeing go, like quite often my hearing will change and I'll feel like, this sounds so crazy, but my hearing will change.
Uh-huh. I think our connection is cut off. Hold on. I don't know if Rachel can hear me, but yeah, I think it's Rachel's internet. It may be mine. Can y'all guys? Oh, oh, she's gone. Okay, so let me end this, guys. I'm going to come right back on and bring her back on. We'll try it again.
I have no
Nope.
idea what just happened. I have no idea
It's
what's going on.
spirit. It's spirit messing with it.
I have no idea what happened. But no, to get back to your question, I don't have that many physical, tangible things, but I've seen little weird things, if that makes any sense. I don't really know what I think, to be honest. I mean, I feel, I don't know. It's hard for me to tell because sometimes I think, sure, there's ghosts everywhere. And then other times I'm like, what the fuck would they hang out here for? In
Yeah.
fact, after my father died, I feel his energy, like, go to China to the Yangtze River. Go, leave me alone. Go. I would feel his energy and I would send it away as sometimes. So I think I feel more energy than I do see specters. Some people see all that stuff. I feel like I'm more a time traveler. Like I can slip in and through, I feel like I'm pretty good at that too. Like just
Right.
maybe it's being a conscious dreamer and being able to, I'm not saying I can really great at astral traveling, but I feel like I've been all my life been like, oh, I'm in a dream. Let me see what I can. I know I'm in a dream, and what can I do when I'm in this state? But I think let's talk about sleep paralysis for a second. If other people have it, it's really scary if you don't know what it is. You wake up and you're paralyzed, but
Yes.
you're conscious. Your mind is thinking and conscious, and you have to. My tip is just go back to sleep. Just tell your body to go back to sleep, and then you'll wake up.
Oh yeah. It's scary. Like you can see things. I remember one time having it, and I was looking at another room in my house. Like I could see two guys that were dressed all in white, and I just saw their legs, and I saw like from their kneecaps down, and I could see them walk, and it was two guys, and it just freaked me out completely. And I woke up and I remembered it like completely that I was like in my house awake, looking at them in the kitchen, walking, and I was back in my body, and I woke up and I was like, this was so weird. It was so weird.
Oh, I will say this has nothing to do with sleep paralysis, but I will say, people, if you find yourself you're not in your body, I think that's a sign of something. Like that's a sign you need to get grounded in your body. And I say,
Yeah,
I don't
that
know
makes
why
sense.
I don't know why I thought of this, but based on what you were saying, but when I was sick before my surgery, maybe it was after my surgery. I don't know. Either way, I was like 50 pounds heavier than I am now. And I'm a very small bone. It was a lot of weight on my little frame, right? So it's my birthday, the night before my birthday, and I sat down on the couch and I zoomed out of my body and shot up to the ceiling and was looking down at myself spreading out on the couch. Like,
Yeah.
I kept spreading and
so
spreading.
You had that experience too.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is not a good sign that you're zooming out of
right?
that you're out of your body.
I've done that. I've done that a lot.
So what I did, and I'm not saying everyone should do this, was I was committed. Like, I was like, oh God, you're trying to get healthy. You're so unhealthy right now. So I started working out twice a day with a trainer 4 times a week. I had that luxury of being able to pay for a trainer, you know, but I wanted to get in my body, and I knew the best way to get back in my body was to do some physical exercise, because that makes kind of connects the mind and the body. Not saying other people have to do that, but if you feel isolated within yourself, that's what I'm saying. And that's kind of, people always think, tarot, it's so airy-fairy, or a lot of Black people are like, it's out of alignment with Christ consciousness. No, it's not. Tarot and all this spiritual stuff is simply to have a more integrated self, like Carl Jung would say, right? It is simply.
Exactly. Like, because when I talk about like people that come to me that are skeptic or super uber religious, and like you said, I'll tell them, you know, like when you look at the Bible story about Jesus and how he had a connection to God, you know, not to get all religious on here, but, you know, he talked to God, the Father, who was in spirit. I mean, hello, he's in spirit. So that's like a connection, you know, that's like a medium. Like,
well, and I have a friend who's, you know, very religious and talks about how, you know, God is everywhere and God is inside her. And I'm like, listen, this is just a way to get in touch with that God inside yourself, without the ego getting in the way as much. And I'm not saying, again, I will stand by. I'm not saying I have it all figured out, because there are times when I am confronted with things and I still am in my lower self, the way I'm reacting, right? But I know from doing this work with tarot and from being, you know, hopefully a spiritual aware person as I grow, that I am reacting better and differently each and every time. I'm learning. And, you know, I get hit up in my DMs from a lot of people. Who are like, can you answer this for me? The answer is no, I can't. I'm Rachel True, I'm busy. There's that. You know, go on my Patreon. If you're interested, I teach 2 tarot workshops a month. It's $20 for 2 streaming workshops where I bring people up like we have here. I bring people up into the video on there. Sometimes we are doing a linear thing. Other times we're having a conversation about cards, or we're talking about different decks, or different spreads, things like that. So, and I do different spreads, things like that. So, and I do read for people on there a little bit. There's also, I think, 10 slots for if you want a reading, or 9 or whatever. But my point is, if you want something like that, go do it the official way. Because when you dump all your problems in the DMs on me, I'm like, I don't care. And that's
I'm like you. I feel like that's it's disrespectful in a way. I know that a lot of people need help, but like there's like, you know, there's an even exchange of energy, and I'm very big on that. That needs to be done, because it gets draining, and people think that, oh, you don't hardly get any DMs in your you know, messages in your DMs, but I mean, we get like a lot. I know that you probably get tons of them all the time, you know, and I get them too, and it's like it gets draining at the end of the day, you know, having to go through all of them and then be typing, please visit my website, please visit my website.
And so someone's asking here, a funny girl X, you have to be a member of Patreon to get a reading. Yes. And by the way, like I said, I have a couple tiers. A $20 tier is for people who want to learn tarot. Within the live streaming, I will decide to read for people, but it's not a set thing where like, you definitely get your cards read for $20. You don't. You can join my workshop, and if we're in conversation, and it should happen organically. Like, somebody new joined last week, so I was like, oh, you're joining at the end of the month. I know you're going to be charged again. I'm going to do a little reading for you here, just because I wanted her to get her bank, you know, her money's worth. But if you want a reading from me, you have to look on there on the Patreon, and there are legit tiers for proper readings. I only have like 10, I think, available. If someone wanted a 15-minute reading or a half an hour reading, a proper reading, there's a tier on that for that. And yes, it costs money, because my time is valuable.
Absolutely. And no, I love that. I was actually watching one of your interviews. Well, not interview, but you did a reading for Billie Eilish, one of my favorite singers.
Oh, yeah, she was great.
Oh, my God, so cool.
Fucking loved her, by the way. And what's funny is, like, she'd had a long day, so somebody was like, listen, Rachel, she's had a long day, don't take it personally if she's not in the mood. And she was great. I was like, I got it, I'm cool. Like, I get it. It's fine.
And then you could see her face, like you could see on, you know, it wasn't scripted. You could tell it was real. It was raw. Like when you did the reading for her, like she came out, she was like, "How do you know that?" I thought it was so
I would have
cute.
preferred to read for after we finished. I said, "Listen, I know that was really hard for you because I was on camera." I said, "So I didn't even go into some of the stuff I would have because we're on camera." So my thing when I do reading for someone, I'm not like Rachel True, an actress pretending to be a reader. I know how to read these cards.
Exactly.
I know how to read her energy. So I'm going to be kind. She's also 16 or 17, right? So the things that I said were what I felt was appropriate to be said in public. And you should always do that for the other thing, guys out there who want to be readers, if you don't know the cards inside and out like I do, or have, you know, Raymond's thing where he uses them but uses his intuition, don't charge people. I think you should know the cards. You should know what you're doing. Like whatever it is, I want someone who is proficient in what they do. So I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe I'm old school with this, but if you have to keep pulling out the book, don't charge money.
No, it's true. No,
practice.
It's true.
Practice. Use that as practice, like everybody does. Or read for your friends for free. Like that's what I did most of my life, is read for my friends. You know what I'm saying?
Or go to a Facebook group and read for people for free. That's how I started. I went into Facebook groups and they just posted a picture of themselves asking a question, and then I would just go at it. And then that's how my gift developed. It's like Rachel says, I feel like it's like learning to ride a bicycle. The more that you use your gift, the more that you use tarot, you know, or use the cards, you're going to develop that intuition and that connection, and you're going to master it.
And it doesn't mean you won't forget. Like the other day, I was running through all the cards by memory on my Patreon, and I got to one, and I was like, what the fuck is that card? I knew what it meant, but I couldn't picture the Rider-Waite image, but I knew the meaning of it. But I was like, I can't picture it. So to me, that just said there was probably a little lesson in that card for me, since I blanked out the image, because I know them inside and out. Wait, I have a question for you. It's totally superfluous, because I think I do look pretty good for my age, especially considering that I had a major illness, you know what I mean, and got my shit together after that. But I also have a theory that, like, there's something I'm supposed to accomplish while I'm still youthful looking, because I really don't know. Everyone I know my age looks so much older than me. It's actually kind of weird when I go out. Like, I lie now, and sometimes not now that we're all grounded, but I was at a few functions, and people asked me my age, women my age, and I lied and told them I was younger because I didn't want to listen to them. I have a nervous breakdown about them looking old, and I didn't want to hear it because it doesn't endear me to them. It actually makes them annoyed at me when I say I'm older than you. It just makes them not like me and not include me in the conversation.
Oh my God.
Please, what does Spirit have to say about that?
Honestly, I feel like you are the reason that you are very youthful looking, because like you really look like you're in your 30s, honestly.
I don't in person, though. I don't. I really don't.
You really look young. I really feel like you are the embodiment. What you have inside your light, or what we would call our energy, our aura. For you, I feel like you've made that connection with source and with your mind, body, and spirit. So it's all aligned, and really and truly you are staying very youthful inside and out. And that's why I guess you look young to people. They're looking at a combination of the physical self, but also your spirit.
It's the energy.
Shines out.
I always tell people too, it's not that I look that young, it's that I have this energy that is perceived. Yeah,
it's your energy.
As youthful.
You have abilities.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not mad at it, by the way. But like I said, I'm watching, like I'm just watching everyone age, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm gonna find.
Yeah, but no, that's the reason you have this connection. You're very balanced when it comes to, you know, your own craft. If you want to call it that, your own energy as the mind, body, and spirit, your chakras, your energy, everything. It's all aligned, and you exude that energy on the outside. So it's not that you're wearing a mask. I feel like people are looking at your true soul on the outside. So if that makes sense.
I don't know. Or I just say it's because I'm totally immature. I'm very like,
see, somebody says in the comments, they're like, Ray, you're so right. It radiates. I mean, people can see it. Like, in a minute. But that's my mom in the background.
So I was going to say to the people out there, though, the more I got in touch with my own self and spirituality and comfortable with myself, I would say I got younger looking. And almost, I think, this is going to sound a little egotastic, but personally, when I look back on pictures when I was younger, I actually think I look better now because I am more comfortable with myself. I'm not comparing myself to my younger self who was perfect and, you know, had great skin and all that. I just mean, I think I look better now because I am more comfortable with myself. So that's one thing I know.
Yeah, and that's something like when I posted a picture of myself as well, like from years ago that I had taken. I had dark black hair there in that picture, and like I
we
look
all
at myself,
did back then,
right? And I'm like, now I'm blonde. Hello, but
me
no,
too.
I look at myself. I look at myself, and I feel like I look different than what I did back then, and I feel more beautiful. I feel beautiful. I could never say that, and I know that sounds like I'm ego-filled as well, but I never felt beautiful.
I feel more attractive now than I did then.
Yeah.
Although I do kind of look the same. Like I put up a picture when I was 8 on my stories, and I was like, oh, it is the same face, you know. Anyway. Let me see. So I have to wrap it up soon. But is there anything that you want to specifically get in? I mean, I guess I want to just let people know. Again, my book is coming out in October. You know, pre-order it now if you want. Wait, don't if you can't afford it. That's my thing too. Like, or the Patreon. If you can't afford the Patreon, don't join. It's as simple as that.
That's true.
It's totally true. It's important to prioritize where you want your money to go now. For me, that's why I kept it at $20, right? Because I wanted everyone to be able to join, not even, because I would have made it 100 to be totally honest. Like I would have, but I've thought about it. I would have, but I thought about it and I was like, no, if I was young and didn't have a lot of money, I would want to be able to study this, and $20 seemed about fair, you know?
No, I think that's honestly very fair.
Yeah. Because I have to pay for a service to do the streaming. It costs me money to run that Patreon, to be honest. So
it costs your internet, and then it costs your time. I mean, hello.
Yeah, no, because the videos that I do are stored on a server too, so people can go back and watch them. So all of that costs, you know. So anyway, I do it because I like, and it's basically like a test group. Because I have a feeling after my book comes out, I will probably have to revamp it and you know, do a proper workshop and maybe charge more. Because the whole thing too is I wrote the book so people could learn to do their own cards instead of hitting me up to do their readings for them. You know, if you can learn to do it yourself, it's really an investment in just whatever book you learn it from, a deck, that's it, and then you're done. And then you can do it yourself. Also, I don't trust anyone who ever says, oh really, it's $10 for a reading, but you're cursed, and now you got to give me, you know,
oh my God,
$5,000 to take if you really think you're cursed, sit and meditate and take the curse off yourself. Okay, that's what I'm going to suggest.
Connect to your higher self, to your ancestors.
Take the curse. If you really believe that you're cursed, take the curse off yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. No, I really thank you, Rachel, for coming on here, because I know that for you, like, you didn't have to do this, and I'm just so grateful. I
came on because Ray says I'm good. Ray says that my love life is not dead in the time of the pandemic. That's give people advice for that. Wrap it up with that. Like, how do people date within a pandemic?
You know, if you are in that area, like, you know, in a pandemic like we are in now, and you're like single, love yourself, self-love, light some candles. Like, I'm into magic. I'm a witch. I do like my spell candles, my red candles for love.
You know what's funny is I do less of that. People think like, oh, she's probably doing love spells all the time. I've never done a love spell. You're either going to love my ass or you're not.
Exactly. You know, go on. There's this thing called Omegle. You can go on and meet random people. It's so funny. Like, you can just dial in, you get random people, you know, join the dating sites. Like, you know, if you're into that.
Gotcha.
But, you know, there's different things.
Somebody asked what deck, and like I said, Ray may have something else to say, but I believe when we are studying tarot, it is super helpful to use a deck like it's the Rider-Waite Smith. The cards were designed by Pamela Coleman Smith, but it's called Rider-Waite. It should really be called Rider-Waite Smith deck. The reason I like this deck is because you have all the symbology you need to learn the cards in these before you jump onto a more complicated deck or a deck, because most of them are Rider-Waite based, right? They really are.
But no, I love the Rider-Waite deck. That's like the one deck that I go go to always.
Just for learning, and then you can branch off into a million other decks. But like for learning, yes, the Rider-Waite deck, Ace of Swords, way to go.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for being here. I love you so, so much. Thank you guys for being on here.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.